This is my short film on the history of skateboarding. From the 1990s to the present day, this is what a modern skateboarders look like. Two kicktails on either end of the deck, which is the wood part of the board. And on the underside will be the trucks, two of them, the fastenings for the wheels, made of polyurethane. In the 1950s, however, boards were just pieces of wood on wheels. From this white line right here forward, that was the deck of the time of the 1950s. And on the bottom would be the trucks and the wheels. However, the wheels back then weren't made of polyurethane. They were made of steel. Solid steel, round pieces. And it made the skaters slide left and right and all the way around. Wherever they were going, they slid. And they hurt themselves. And how the mortality rate for skateboarders increased drastically during the time that the sport grew. However, in the 1960s, skateboarding grew and it peaked in popularity. And in 1965, someone invented the kicktail, this piece of the board right here. In the 1960s, this is basically what a skateboard would look like. It would still have the trucks and the steel wheels on the bottom, except it wouldn't be this wide. It would be much thinner. The bolts would be almost on the edge of the board. It would be about right here, and that would be the edge of the board from the center on either side. It was a very thin board. And later during the 1960s, after the kicktail was invented, someone created clay wheels. They were much safer than the steel wheels. However, they still slid a lot and had almost no traction on the ground while people were street surfing. So the mortality rate still increased, but it didn't increase as fast and as drastically as it did when the steel wheels were being used. In the 1970s, skateboarding became much more popular, or it kept growing in popularity. And the wheels in 1972, Frank Mason invented the polyurethane wheel, which is the wheels used on the modern day skateboard right here. And the wheels changed, and with the kicktail and the wheels being changed, the skateboarders had a lot more control of their skateboard, and they had a lot more traction on the ground, giving them multiple trick opportunities and various flat ground fundamentals that they could use during contests and things of that nature. Now, in the 1980s, the boards became wide as the one seen here, if not wider. And they would skate in pools and bowls that you would swim in, and they would go up on the side and they would use the trucks and grind on the coping, and they would do airs and things of that nature outside of the bowl, over the lip, which would be over the top of the coping. And this was a very innovative time in skateboarding. It was very fundamental for the growing of skateboarding. Now, today, however, a lot of things in skateboarding are much different. Wheels of different companies have different urethane formulas, giving them different hardnesses and softnesses. Trucks are made of lighter materials, different metals. Decks are made of different woods and things of that nature. However, skateboarding itself has all stayed the same. And the culture of it has changed, but it has not changed from what it once was back when it first started in the 1950s. Now, one of the tricks that was invented during this time period, was the ollie. And the ollie is important because it gives the basis for every other trick ever done in skateboarding. The trick itself looks like this. That was an ollie. And that basically showed every trick how to get its base, where to put your feet, and how to get ready for the trick. In 1995, the first X Games was hosted, and we know it today as the X Games. However, in 1995, it was called Extreme Games. And this was very epic because it gave all of the skaters at that time a place to look to find out who the pros were, what their skills were, how could they improve, and how to do tricks correctly without taking it step by step. They can see it in live action and in raw form. Today, skateboarding has changed somewhat. However, like I said, it still has remained all the same. But it's a lot more competitive now than it was back in the 1950s and 60s. It's more about sponsorships and getting famous rather than for doing it for the fun. And it has become globally recognized, which makes it almost as competitive as any other sport known to any person in a first world nation, or even in a third world nation. And that is my short film on the